Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast. We are the Gaming Stooges.
I'm Jack.
You can call me Cloud.
And I'm Landon.
We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and if you do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitch, or joining our Discord. Let's get on with the show.
You know, I was thinking about a way to open this one, and I gotta say I'm just puzzled.
I have to pee.
Good one, Cloud.
That's my bit. I have to piss.
You have to pee. Today
I have
we're
to
talking
pee.
about in-game puzzles, aka there are puzzle games. That is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about games where the entire game is about puzzles. We're talking about games that have puzzles in them. It can be just a random puzzle as just a way to change up the gameplay, or it can be an aspect of gameplay, but not the entirety of that game's gameplay. But either way, I asked Landon and Jack and myself, obviously, to come up with just a few examples to talk about, and I think we're just going to jump right in, because honestly, I could not think of other questions to really ask. Jack, you said you didn't really have anything specific. You just want to talk about just games in particular that had puzzles in them.
Don't go to me today.
All right, don't.
I will
Jack
chime in.
He will chime in. He's a little sick, so
I'm
coming out of being sick. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm cool. So we're good.
I'm gonna do my best. Cloud transferred his sick to me so that he wouldn't have to deal with it anymore.
From many states away.
Which fair. I wouldn't want to deal with this either.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I could start then. Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the first things that I actually thought of, and I'm sure that Jack, you'll remember these as well when I mention them, and I didn't want to just pick one of the three games in particular, so I'm just going to talk about all three. But the main trilogy of the Ratchet & Clank games on the PS2, so the one that's not deadlocked, they all have hacking mini games in them, and all of them have some sort of puzzle aspect to them. I'll say that I think that the puzzle elements are kind of lesser and lesser as far as difficulty or complication between 1, 2, 3, in that order, most to least complicated. But there's always a game based on a gadget that you get where you got to hack into something in order to open a door to move on. First Ratchet & Clank game had, I'm not going to remember the names of the gadgets that actually did these, but in Ratchet & Clank 1, there was this circle, and there'd be these nodes, and the nodes would have green lights, and you had to rotate them around the slots of this circle in order to get them to go into the red lights. And as you got further into the game, it would get more and more complicated, where there's multiple layers, and there's also little nodes that don't have a laser, and they can block the laser coming from another node that's behind it if you don't actually do it right. So the trick is to try to get all of the lights that are on the outer ring to be lit up, that need to be lit up from red to green. That's one that I remember. And then they do something similar with the green versus red in each of the other games. The second game had one where there was a sphere, and there were these nodes, and you had to rotate them in order to get the beam to refract through all of the nodes all the way to the end, so that they fully traveled from point A to point B. And then the third game was a little less puzzle-like. It was more almost like a shoot 'em up, but it had a puzzle aspect to it, where you had to grab the green. There was a cylinder of lights, and there's these red lights that you can't touch. You have to shoot them, and then there's green lights that, as they're traveling up, you have to try to grab them with a tractor beam sort of laser, and you have to try to do that without taking damage by having stuff reach the top of the outer edges of the circle. So that was what three games that really popped into my head, because I just remember spending a lot of time solving those, because I am not very good at in-game puzzles that are not just block puzzle games. I suck at some puzzles, and even if I can figure them out, I tend to sit in front of some of them for a while.
Okay.
So,
I will say,
no response.
I'll say a thing, because it's kind of integrated into the game's gameplay loop. Not really any specific game in the franchise, but the Uncharted series is known for having lots of puzzles in them. You often will like cycle between different like sections of gameplay where you'll do some platforming and climbing. You'll have like an action sequence where you do some like shooting some guys. And then you'll like enter this like ancient temple that hasn't been inhabited in 400 years, and you have to solve this puzzle. And sometimes they're baby puzzles. Like they can be very baby puzzles in some instances, but sometimes they make you think a little bit. You gotta like look at like what you're given and try and figure it out on your own. But also, if you take long enough, the game will just point you in the right direction. But
oh yeah, later games do that sort of thing where they just kind of like give you the solution if you're stumped.
It's kind of like that, where like one of the if you're like taking too long, one of the characters will just be like, hey, why don't you move this thing over there, and then that'll like push you towards the solution. So
Gotcha. Okay. Hi, Landon.
Hello. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for pointing out my existence.
You talk now, please.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I would like to start off by asking, what is a puzzle in a video game? Merriam-Webster defines puzzled or puzzling, as a transitive verb to offer or represent to someone a problem difficult to solve or a situation difficult to resolve. Does this not define what like a boss fight would be for RPGs, and therefore some of those could just be considered a puzzle in and of themselves?
Quite a few of them, you could say, yeah.
I would argue, yes. I would say that there are definitely some games where like the challenge of a fight is really just trying to figure out the solution to killing it.
And a lot of the times
that
in
isn't
RPGs
just,
you
like,
have like bosses
killing
that
it.
have specific weaknesses that make the fight harder or easier, and they might have certain things that are harder to do to damage them, or make it impossible to damage them in certain ways. So like there are that it is a trope in it of itself, but yeah, there's a lot of aspects of like RPGs where depending on the boss design, they could be puzzles in and of themselves.
What am I supposed to do with my hands in this audio format?
Great question, Landon. That's quite the puzzle you have there.
There we go, baby.
He's
There we
he's
go.
thinking with his brain.
Anyway, besides that, so there's my smart person talk. Now we're going to talk about Chances Sinar and the fact that Wikipedia does not list it as a puzzle game. Therefore, I'm good to go ahead and just talk about it for the next hour and a half.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
Okay.
So this puzzle game that's built around solving puzzles. No. I would like to talk about Chances Sinar, which is surprising to me that it's not classified as a puzzle game. Although Steam uses the puzzle tag for it. Nintendo uses the puzzle solving elements tag. So, I don't know. But it's classified as an adventure game. Probably because it's just like a isometric top-down type view, and you're doing a lot of like running around the world. But the puzzle that I love about it, and I've talked about a little bit on the podcast, is that you are trying to figure out the language of these 5 different groups of people that are living in this tower. And by like figuring out the language, you are actually able to like move forward through areas and like help people with their issues, or like gain the knowledge to move forward, which I think is a great concept for a video game.
Okay. I'm like envisioning it in
Yeah.
my head because I've never actually seen gameplay for it before.
So all the languages are hieroglyphs. Oh my god, I couldn't even say that. Hieroglyphs. So like it's all symbol based, and then what you get is like you will see it out in the world, and then they have basically like a glossary of all of them, and then as you like get enough of them, like you'll have pages in a book that'll show sort of what it is, and you're supposed to match up the symbol to like the picture representation of the definition, and then if you get all of those on a page, then it like confirms what it is. And so sometimes you don't get the exact representation of that item or like what that word is, but you've already defined that word in a different language, so you can like use that language to define it. So it's like very interesting. You'll have like people talk to you, you'll have like posters or like ruins or like monuments that have like words in them, or like signposts, shop like names, and like different ways to like try and figure it out. So it's a game that I really enjoyed the concept behind. So it's technically a puzzle game,
But
but
you're gonna
aren't all video games puzzle games? If all video games are trying to show you
a challenge that you must
challenging
solve. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
So
So
I win.
But I want to touch on, so when we were doing the poll for this, there was a comment that was directed at the puzzles in games option. And one question I want to hit on is what makes a good puzzle in a game? And I think that a good puzzle in a game has some element of reward, of a satisfying reward to it, especially in games where the puzzle element is not typically a major element of that game. If there happens to be puzzles, it better be hiding something pretty damn good. And there are some games that do this, but one of the first that really popped into my head, unsurprisingly, is in the Generation 3 Pokemon games, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. You have the entire side quest to get the Reggie trio, Regice, Regirock, and Registeel. And that is just filled with puzzle elements to it. I wanted to think of something Pokemon related, as I am a big Pokemon fan. And there are puzzles in certain games, but they're usually not super complicated. But this one is not only a little complicated, but it's very rewarding because your reward is 3 legendary Pokemon at a minimum, depending on how far you go with this. So to explain, for anybody that doesn't know, in Generation 3 Pokemon games, there's an area that you can use the HM field move Dive in order to go under the water. And if you go into a cave that is under that water, you'll find a bunch of stone tablets that if you interact with, they'll have like these dotted patterns on them. And it turns out it's Braille. So if you use the Braille to read and decipher the messages that are in certain locations, you'll be able to go through this whole quest line with them. And so, like the first way in is that you have to read the wall in the back of that cave, and the stone tablets on like in the first room is basically just the Braille alphabet. So when you go through to the wall, it'll tell you to like use dig. So usually dig is a move that just like warps you out of a cave and brings you to the outside of the cave. But in this instance, it doesn't do that. It actually opens a hole in the wall so that you can go further. And then further in, there'll be like this like convoluted thing that the game wants you to do. Basically, depending on the game, they want you to have a Relicanth and a Wailord, and they want you to put them at the front and back of the party. That they swap between Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, which position that is. And then if you interact with the stone that has that message in the very back of the second room, it'll actually open up 3 caves. And then when you go to those caves at different parts of the Hoenn region, further Braille messages will pop up, and like I'm just gonna lump them all together. There's a couple differences between Emerald and the other two, but like one of them requires running around the outer edge of the cave without accidentally moving away from it. One of them is going into the center of the enclosed cave area and using fly, which is not something that you normally can do inside of a cave. Another one involves like walking a couple spaces to one side and then down, and then using rock smasher strength. So there's another one where like you use flash, I think, as a replacement for fly. But you do all these, and then you can actually go in and capture one of the 3 legendary Pokemon from that region. And I just think it's really cool that this game that is not known for having a big element of puzzle solving has this sizable quest that's locked behind a sort of puzzle to it. And I think that's what I like when I do play a game and it happens to have puzzles, is if there's a cool reward hiding behind that puzzle.
This is how out of it I was today that I tried to think of specific puzzles for this podcast, and I couldn't even think of the big one from one of my favorite games.
Hey, it's okay.
So,
I brought it up for you.
Thank you. It's a good one. Even though the puzzle is basically just read Braille.
It's
and
just
figure it out.
Read Braille and do the things that the Braille tells you to do. But,
it's cool though.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. If you didn't know,
I mean,
that
you also have. I mean, to mention Pokemon games, you also have like strength puzzles.
Yep.
In certain dungeons.
There's strength puzzles. There's ice sliding puzzles, trying to navigate ice in the games that have those. So I wanted to bring the big one out with the Reggie quest line because, again, you had headed off, but one of the questions on the comment was about what makes a good puzzle in a game, and like I was thinking of, I like having a reward for solving the puzzle. So that's like the big reward. But I mean, even in like the strength and the ice sliding puzzles, there's usually some like items that you can get. So there's usually little rewards here and there in the Pokemon games just for doing all these tiny puzzles here and there. Articuno is tied to the classic strength puzzle from the first game, so that counts for something. Landon, you managed to answer the question for us, what is a puzzle? And I gave an answer for a question of what makes a good puzzle. You got something else for us that you want to talk about?
Fuck. No, I kind of blew my load all over the place already.
Damn.
So let's see.
You don't want to talk
Maybe
about...
a puzzle list?
You don't want to talk about The Legend of Zelda and all its many puzzles?
Listen, that's the lowest hanging of fruit possible, imaginable.
Yeah, true for you. That's like
even
that's like the period at the end of
Jack in his almost dead state. I think he's 99.99% dead at the moment.
Jack is a zombie.
Not quite. But even he could be like, Zelda, case closed. And that's the end of the podcast.
I mean, I literally wrote down the Zelda franchise in my notes.
I did that too. Like in my notes, it's the only non-specific one. I just put Legend of Zelda games maybe ?
I mean, Zelda as a franchise has never been considered a puzzle game, but puzzles are so integral to the progression in a Zelda game that it's like, I mean,
most dungeons like revolve around solving a series of puzzles using some sort of like item that you like obtain.
And it's not even exclusive to dungeons either. It's like there are plenty of puzzles outside of the dungeons where you can find just like extra bullshit like in the overworld.
I think that goes to Cloud's point earlier, is tying certain puzzles to like getting rewards.
So, I do have a question that I wanted to ask in this puzzle, because we brought up a certain genre of games in our platformers podcast. Metroidvanias. Are they puzzle games?
No.
Because the progression system in a Metroidvania inherently revolves around like solving a puzzle in a specific room, or like using the right item in the right place to unlock a new area. And usually that requires like some sort of critical thinking
So
Or like remembering to go back to an area after you've obtained an ability or item.
I mean that too.
I think
But-
I think the best comparison is to just go back to talk about The Legend of Zelda is an adventure series that that puzzles are a highly integral part of the game, but the game is not labeled as a puzzle game. It's like that. Metroidvanias are platformers where the puzzle element is an integral part of the core gameplay, but they're still platformers at the end of the day, or side-scrolling action platformer games. So I think they are not puzzle games, but they are definitely have lots of puzzle elements to them, yeah. So, yeah. No, that's a good point. I've not played enough Metroidvanias to have experience enough to talk about them, but I mean,
But you have played Kirby and the Amazing Mirror.
I did play Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, and I'm not gonna lie, that is a Metroidvania that is I don't know if Metroidvania style games, no matter what's doing it, should have like one-way rooms where like you can go through it to another room, but you can't go back through the same place you just went in. And there's a lot of those in Kirby Amazing Mirror, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty fun.
Most Metroidvanias have a way to eventually return to an area. Super Metroid is famous for locking off sections of games until you get, like, you can go forward, and then it will, like, not let you go back until, like, you've hit a certain power, just to, like, let you know, hey, you can keep going. The solution is not back there. That's part of, like, the whole, like, game/puzzle design. Is don't go looking for your solution, like, back. You have everything you need to move forward. Just fucking figure it out.
yeah.
Like, one of the ones is, like, running. Because there's a puzzle where the floor will give out if you're not quick enough. But they don't tell you that you have a run button. And you can just, like, hold it and, like, Samus will move faster.
Oh,
like, it's an
I think I've
option.
seen clips of that segment too.
Yeah, so that's like a pretty famous one. And then something else they do is like, especially Super Metroid uses like environmental like storytelling with like the animals to like show you something, like wall jumping or shine sparking. Is like they'll show you that to like show you how to do it, and then like you can like, once you figure it out, you can use that stuff in different areas to, like, solve or, like, even, like, break the game to, like, sequence break in a lot of ways. So, yeah.
Okay.
But no, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror is an awful Metroidvania. Thank you for joining us for our puzzle podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Another question that was asked when we threw the poll up for this is just kind of like throwing out what you would think some of the hardest and easiest puzzles in a game are. I don't really have any specific examples, but at least I don't have like a lot of good specific examples, but I would definitely say that for me, puzzle elements of a game, I think the hardest ones are always like the manual dexterity puzzles, where like not only do you have to figure something out, but you also have to have the skill to pull something off. It's not just mental, like you also have to have reflexes. And one example I have of that is actually in my favorite Nintendo game of all time, Super Mario Bros. 3. There is an ice level in the ice world. I can't remember. I think it's like 6-5. And there's a puzzle aspect to it where you are down in an ice cave, and the exit to the level, it's a very short level, but the exit is all the way up top in like a little nook. So first things first, you need to have some ability to fly up there. Problem, the pipe that exits you out is blocked by several blocks, and those blocks are guarded by those little like chomping plants that like jump up. So you need to avoid those blocks. You have to bring something to break the blocks that are in the way. So you have to avoid the plants, and you have to fly up there. And you have to do all of that in a way that you don't get hurt while you're in midair before you get over there. And you can get underneath there, because there's like a couple solid blocks, so you may have to crouch under and then get into the pipe. So there's a big puzzle aspect of this stage. The whole way to get out is like almost an escape room type of Mario level. And it's crazy that they did this all the way back in 1990, by the way, because this kind of way to like make a level in a platformer, I don't think was very common back in the day. You see this stuff like this a lot more common nowadays, but like that level always kicks my ass. I try to skip it if I have to at times, but I'll try and take it on. It's a really tough level though, because you have to have the dexterity to fly up there holding a shell and don't get hit when you're trying to get into the pipe. So it's pretty wild.
That type of like hard puzzle reminds me of some like specific shine spark sequences you have to do in some Metroids, like because you can hold a charge. It's wild, which you can do, and like there's like they're optional items, so like missile tanks and shit. But if you're like going for 100%, there's like I think Dread has one where you have to charge up a shine spark, hold it, and then do a quick like, because you only have about like 4 or 5 seconds before you lose the shine spark ability, but like do a quick series of platforming, shine spark in like a diagonal or some shit, and then like repeat it again. Like there's some crazy and like Zero Mission is another one that has like it's like a chain of like 5 shine sparks that you have to do in order to get a single missile tank, and it's like, why? So that's like it's like figuring out like where you need to like do the certain sequence of events, but then also like have the dexterity to like do that, because it's
because it's
it's tough.
It's multi-layered, because it's not just enough to know what you have to do. It's, do you have the skill to pull off the thing that you just have to figure out how to do it? So there's and
the answer is no.
Yeah,
I don't.
There's I think those are definitely like the hardest ones, is the ones where it takes both the knowledge to know what you have to do and then also the skill to pull it off. It's like those like, because it tests everything. It tests your reflexes, it tests your knowledge of the game mechanics and the game itself. It tests your problem solving skills. Like, it's testing everything at once, and not every game is able to do that when it's incorporating a puzzle. Al says, in Tales of Grace's F, there's a really long and annoying color light laser puzzle in an optional dungeon that restarts immediately if you mess up once. I hate those kind of puzzles where like you have to do something, and if you don't do it correctly and it's a long sequence, you have to restart the whole thing. And I will add on to that. There's like a couple puzzle-ish things that are like that in Final Fantasy X. Is like the Final Fantasy that like has probably like the most puzzle aspects to it, and one specific one is basically in order to get I think it's a certain summon or a certain weapon, you have to dodge lightning in like this one screen that has like these lightning strikes every few seconds 100 times. And if you get hit once, you have to start the sequence of 100 over. They are timed, so like they have if you can time it right, you can dodge them every single time, but you have to keep time and do it 100 times. And like there's a puzzle aspect to it because the room that you're in is not super large, so you have to space yourself out in a way that you're going to be able to continue to dodge these 100 bolts of lightning as you're because you have to move to the side. And the lightning strikes are like, they're not super large, they don't take up a whole lot of like space on like the ground, but they take up enough where you can't just like step back just like a tiny inch and not get hit. Like, you have to step back enough to not get hit. So that, with the, you know, the fact that you have to do it 100 times, you have to time it, and you're in an area that's not super large. I never did it, and I never will, because I don't want to do that ever.
That's fair. That sounds awful.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of the Wind Waker has something where you have to. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker has it's essentially a mini game where you have to parry.
I think
this one guy's attack. Well, you don't have to parry, but you have to like land 100 hits without like taking. I think it's 3 hits, so it's not like an immediately like failure. But like the easiest way to do it is just wait until he attacks and then just parry him. It's the safest way, because then you're not like, you know, going to accidentally like try and hit him with like a normal chain of attacks.
Yeah.
When he's like about to hit you, so it's just parry 100 times.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's not impossible, and I've done it multiple times. It's time consuming.
Yeah.
It helps that you can take like 1 or 2 hits without like having to restart the whole thing.
Right. All right. And then I want to go to the opposite end of the spectrum and talk about easy puzzles.
Easy.
Yeah. So we talked about like hard puzzles. We talked about puzzles that are difficult for one reason or another, either tests your endurance or tests multiple skills at once. But now I want to talk about easy puzzles, because that was also a question, and what makes them easy. And I want to say like just really, really simple, like order of operation kind of puzzles. Like, there's just a few things, you have to just do them in the right order, and it's only like a couple, and that's it. The main specific example I thought of was in Super Mario 64. The world Jolly Roger Bay has an underwater segment, and there's these like several chests that are around in a sequence, and the puzzle is just open up the chests in the correct order. And the only thing that makes it like tricky is that you are underwater, and if you hit the wrong one, you get shocked, so you'll take a little extra damage. And since you're underwater, you slowly lose your life at the same time. So you're on a timer, and that timer can drop down dramatically if you get something wrong. But there's only like 3 or 4 chests at a time in either of the locations where you have to do this. So all you have to do is just, you know, memorize the right order as you do it, and you're fine. And one of them is super easy, because it's literally 4 chests, 3 of them in a triangle and then 1 in the middle, and it's literally just you start at one of the ones that are out on the 3, and once you get it right, you just go clockwise and then do the one in the middle, and that's it. So like, it's not hard, it's just knowing where you have to start. And I think any of those like puzzles that are like, it's like there's low risk involved, and you don't have, and your brain doesn't have to think too much. You just have to kind of get that first piece, and the rest just kind of falls in. There's quite a lot of games where like you could like think of a puzzle that's kind of like that, but that's the one that I thought of right away, was the Jolly Roger Bay.
Any strength puzzle from Pokemon.
Exactly. Those
are so easy.
You just take
for the most part.
You take the strength boulder, you push it to the hole or on top of the switch. There you go.
I mean, sometimes it's a little bit more involved with that, like not lining up against a wall, but like,
yeah,
they're usually pretty straightforward.
Yeah. It's literally, do you know how to use strength? Do you know how to avoid putting it into a corner so you can continue to push it if you need to move it? Cool, you can do this.
Good job.
So,
you got through Victory Road.
Exactly. It gives you something to do while you're in Victory Road, but it's definitely the easiest end of the spectrum when it comes to puzzles.
Yeah. I was trying to think of...
Jack, do you have any examples of games with easy puzzles that you could think of off the top of your head?
Any of the Resident Evil 5... Or, Jesus, well, I was going to say Resident Evil 5. I was gonna say any Resident Evil after 4. Specifically 5 and 6. I feel like the puzzle solving in those games is very much like dumbed down in favor of the action sequences, whereas the older Resident Evil games, the puzzle solving is like a pretty integral part of the gameplay loop.
Okay.
The earlier Resident Evils definitely take like heavy inspiration from like point and click games where
You just have a thing and you try it on everything until it works.
yeah, but like not in like a bad way. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Good old sun mirror puzzle in RE5.
Yeah.
The only
It's,
hard part about it is dying when you get touched by the sun. Otherwise, it's very easy.
I will say Resident Evil 5 has like it's not really a puzzle, but there's like an early boss that you can cheese. You just have to like it's getting the guy in the incinerator and starting it up. So like it has like an interesting solution to a boss fight. Which is like not just like shoot it a bunch of times, but you do have to do a little bit of like maneuvering to get it into the incinerator and make sure it doesn't get out before you can leave and press the button. And hopefully your partner is not trapped in there. But you do miss out on a reward if you kill it through the incinerator, because it does have like an item drop if you kill it the normal way, with as many bullets as possible. So
Okay.
I like games that do that, where like you can come at something with multiple solutions. You don't have to like tackle like a puzzle from like just one direction.
Yeah.
Using
like
the
gives you multiple
expanded
options.
definition of I'm definitely using the expanded definition of puzzle here. Is like general task or like fight in a game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now this is going to be a bit of a shorter podcast, so I think we're going to take the break here, and then when we come back, we're going to get into like what are some of our favorite puzzles or games with puzzle solving elements, and then we'll just kind of go around the room and just kind of talk about stuff in general as far as puzzles in games are concerned. But before that, we got our usual housekeeping to do, and I have quite a bit of updates for everyone actually. First of all, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/GamingStooges, and that just got a revamp. So we have 2 tiers still. They used to be $3 and $6, Silver Stooge and Gold Stooge, and before we used to have exclusive content for the Gold Stooges as well as Patreon shoutouts. Currently, we do not have a Gold Stooge, so there are no shoutouts specifically for this podcast episode, but perhaps one day in the future there might be. But that Gold Stooge tier is now $5 a month. It still has the shoutouts. You still get all the exclusive content. You still get all the other cool stuff that you get at the Silver Stooge tier, as long as you're a paid member of some tier. But it is a little bit cheaper now every month. And the $3 tier, the Silver Stooge tier, actually now has access to the exclusive content, or at least most of it. I did not give access to the Delta Green campaign just because of the fact that we have a bundle where you can just buy all of it and just have it like permanently. So instead of, worrying about, having to check all of those individually, you can just get them all together and just have easy access that way to the whole campaign there. But everything else, if you are sub to the Silver Stooge tier now at $3, you'll be able to check out all the other cool stuff that we've done. Soon we're going to have a Pokemon Gen 5 tier list up. We have tier lists for the first 4 generations of Pokemon, like which, the 151 from Kanto, the 100 from Johto, etc., etc. We've done a video where we talked about our favorite Clubhouse games. We've talked about what we would put together as our amount of games for a Game Boy Mini, since the Game Boy was turning very old we decided we wanted. It was 30. It just turned 36, I believe. We did a list of just like all these Game Boy games that we would put together for that. We did like a Sonic Generations 2 list of like what stages we'd want to see in a Sonic Generations 2, and like expanded the game to cover more representation. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. Now if you're subbed at even just the basic tier, you got access to that. On twitch.com/GamingStooges. If you're watching this live, you are here right now. Thank you. We've been doing a lot. Jack's still doing Dual Destinies, Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright. I have just started Final Fantasy V Pixel Remaster. We got pretty far into that so far. We just got our airship, so we're going to have a lot of exploring and discoveries to make. And Landon is doing Dragon Quest Heroes, The World Trees Woe, and The Blight Below. So that's a Dynasty.
Wait, did you say World Trees or Wind Trees?
The World Trees.
It's Wind Trees.
Is
I've made that mistake like 7 times.
Oh, it's the Wind Tree?
Yeah, it's the Wind Trees Woe.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm 100% serious.
No way.
Or is it the World Trees? Did I have it backwards? Am I stupid?
No, it is the World.
Hold on.
It is the World Trees. You're messing with me. I just looked it up. You're gaslighting me.
I swear on my life, I'm not gaslighting you. I just have zero brain activity right now.
The World Trees Woe and The Blight Below.
I don't know why. I keep assuming it's Wind Trees Woe.
No.
Landon wasn't even here.
Yep. But he's playing Dragon Quest Heroes. That is a Dynasty Warrior style game with Dragon Quest in it that came out about 10 years ago back on PlayStation 4. So if you like Dynasty Warriors or Dragon Quest, that is a cool thing to tune into. And
it is the World Trees Woe. I'm so stupid.
Jack, we had a really big video go out on our YouTube for once. We don't usually put unique videos on YouTube, but if you want to talk about that real quick.
Hey, so a while ago, specifically like a year and a half ago, we recorded a 96 race marathon of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all 96 courses in the game. It was shelved for a long time because I forgot about it.
And it's a very big video. It's almost 6 hours.
We should have Jack solve puzzle on stream right now. Fuck.
Just bust out a Rubik's Cube. Just start doing a Rubik's Cube on stream.
But yeah, it is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all 96 courses.
Yep.
The three of us playing all of them. It is a 6-hour-long video. Go watch it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
We had a lot of
See
fun.
who wins.
It's a very, very good time. It was a nice way for us to celebrate and send off Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and the Booster Course Pass. And Jack managed to get it up just in time for Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart World. So
the real reason it's on YouTube and not Patreon is because Patreon has an upload size limit.
It was supposed to go to Patreon until we found out.
It was supposed to be a Patreon exclusive, but then we decided, fuck it, we'll just put it on YouTube.
Yeah, just put it on YouTube. So yeah, there's that. And I think that covers everything. You know, we have our Discord. You can join our Discord. We have the link in the description for that everywhere. We've got RSS if you want to listen to your podcast there. YouTube is the alternative if you'd like to listen to it there. So, yeah. Let's just jump right back in. We're going to talk about some more puzzles. And I, specifically, the person that asked about the puzzles wanted to know what some of the best puzzles in a game are. And I don't know if I have an actual best, so to speak, but I do have some examples of puzzles in games that I liked. And one specific one is in Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage. There is the level Idle Springs, and Idle Springs has an orb challenge. You collect orbs by doing certain challenges. Usually they're like reflexes, and usually they're just keeping little challenges where like you keep track of stuff, not necessarily puzzles. But in Idle Springs, there is 3 challenges from a guy in Idle Springs named Foreman Bud. And all three of them have some puzzle element to them. The first and the last one have more of a puzzle element than the second one, but you have to do all three challenges in order for Form and Bud to give the orb. The first challenge is one of those like classic, like you have like a set of tiles, and like some of them are lit up and some of them aren't. And if you light up one that's not lit up, then ones next to it will turn off or on depending on what they are. So like if you have, so in Spyro 2 specifically, you have a ring of 8 boxes. And when you step on one, the ones to the next, right next to it will do the same, will also switch on and off alongside the one that you step on as well. So the goal is to make it so that way there, when you step on one of the platforms, eventually all of them will be lit up. So the whole aspect of the puzzle is which one do you step on? What order do you step on them? You can approach it from different angles as long as you get all 8 of them lit up. That's all that matters. But I just like basic stuff like that. And then the second one in that challenge, the second challenge in that gauntlet is right outside that room. There's like a Maui statue head, and it doesn't like eating a certain color of fish, but it does like eating the other colors of fish. So you have to wait for them to come over, and you have to flame the fish to push it into his mouth so he eats it. And that's the one that's like the least like puzzle, really, if you could even call it that. But the third one is back to like being very puzzle based, where a series of platforms that have shapes and colors on them, and the goal is to step on them in a specific order so that they go down. If you step on them out of order, if you step on the wrong one, they all reset. So you have to do it in the right order. And then if you do it in the right order, then you get the orb after doing that third one. They're all basic in a sense, but I like when the puzzles even though there's a puzzle element to the challenge, it still revolves around the same core gameplay that you're doing. So in Spyro, you are jumping, gliding, using your flame breath to do things, and just using that to build on it and figure out what can we do as a challenge with these things. I like when games do that. I don't like when games have to drastically change the gameplay and like throw a mini game in there. Like, I don't hate the Ratchet and Clank hacking mini games, but like if you took them out, I probably wouldn't even care at all, as an example. But like the way that they did in Spyro, it's so natural that I like it. I like when games do that. That's my favorite type of puzzle. I don't have other specific examples really as far as what I like, but if it utilizes the same core gameplay that you're going through in the game, it's probably fine with me. Lana, do you have any favorite puzzles or just aspects of puzzles you like a lot?
You bring up a like point of like something that uses like the natural gameplay to like give you something, and it reminds me of 2 Mario games in particular. Mario Wonder, and then Super Mario 3D World, because both of those I feel like featured it was sort of like more of a break from the normal gameplay like routine of like going through a level, getting the purple coins, doing the Wonder Seed stuff, getting to the end, because like in Wonder, there was those sections where you're trying to hunt for like hidden coins?
Yeah.
Or hidden seeds or something. But they're hidden in like a level, so you're doing a platforming like challenge, but it's like going and like trying to like find these items that are there. And those were all like puzzles in and of themselves. And then there was also like the like fight gauntlets, which felt like a puzzle when you take into consideration the time element to like, if you beat it under a certain like time, you got the additional like Wonder Seed for clearing it in under a time. So like trying to optimize what power-ups to take, and like a strategy to involve in like beating those challenges, like helped like break the pace of like normal levels, but still
But
was
you're-
within
yeah.
like the confines of like everything that the platformer had.
I really like that about Mario Wonder is the fact that like you get those break levels and it's like it reminds me of like back in Super Mario 3 or other Super Mario Brothers games where like there's break levels where there's like a little mini boss and it's kind of and you can just kind of like do that really quick, but like there's more of a puzzle aspect to it. But I like that there's like a break in the gameplay, but the gameplay still feels, fluid. It's not like you're just like you don't have a jarring gameplay change from one level to the next when you do these break levels. You're still playing Super Mario Brothers Wonder. You're not suddenly playing like some other game that has like new mechanics or anything. It just tests you on what you know in a new way, and I really like that. Super Mario Wonder is great with that.
And then on the flip side with 3D World, fuck everything we just said about everything that's awesome, Captain Toad.
Captain Toad.
Because that's what happens is like you have these you do have other break levels where like you're doing like 10-second challenges, get to the end of the goal, kill as many of these enemies as possible, and like they'll do like 5-10 at a time sometimes. But then you have like the break levels where you're playing as Captain Toad, and yes, it's still a platformer, but you can't jump like you can as Mario.
Yeah.
And like they're all like puzzle box levels,
like diorama
to get
designs
through.
that you have to
Yeah.
you have to learn how to progress through these levels with no jump.
Which I mean, it's still a platformer, but it changes the game fundamentally, but it's still so much fun for that game.
I would argue that Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker is in of itself a puzzle game, or at the very least a puzzle platformer, because
sure,
it's very like the platforming itself is very de-emphasized. It's really a matter of just like knowing which direction to take Captain Toad, because the challenge is knowing how to complete the level, not necessarily having the ability to.
We were mostly like talking about like how certain sections of like certain Mario games give you like,
I was going to say that. I think in the context of 3D World, though, I think that definitely applies.
Yeah, that's what I mostly like. My point was like we were just praising like especially Cloud was saying how like Spyro does really well with its break levels because it like utilizes the in-game tools for you.
Yeah. The challenges are just
like,
an evolution of the gameplay rather than a break from the gameplay.
But then, like, Captain Toad's levels in 3D World is like an exception to like the break from gameplay that I just love. And like, there's some platformers that do that where the break is like you playing as like an ally. I know the Spyro games have those. The Sly
3.
Cooper games have those when you start going into the Sly 2 and especially Sly 3 because you have a lot of like other people to play as other than Sly. He has like his whole gang of people in that. So you have like RC car challenges and like Murray challenges, and then Dimitri's doing whatever the fuck he's doing because he's a slime bag type challenges. So like you have like different like styles of gameplay, even if it's like different from the normal. But if you can play as the original like person to play it, those are usually the most fun and the most memorable. Especially like I said, Wonder, like those break levels and those gauntlets were very memorable to play through.
Yeah. Jack, do you have any games specifically that you can pinpoint as like a favorite as far as like how the puzzle solving parts of the game work, or just the puzzles in it?
I think that Majora's Mask is a really good example of this, because Majora's Mask, is a Zelda game, but I think it takes like the puzzle solving to an extra level because of the time loop system that the game operates on, and needing to know like what to do on a specific day, how to help a specific person complete their quest, because like 90% of Majora's Mask is side quests. Like you can finish that game with less than 10% completion. Like, there is so much to explore and to just learn about the world, and I think it has a really unique way of adding puzzles into the usual Zelda formula by integrating the time loop system, and, you know, knowing that throughout the 3-day period, every character is going to be doing the exact same thing every 3 days, but they might only be doing something on a specific part of a certain day, and you might only have access to that specific something during a specific part of a different day, and just, I don't know, I'm bad at explaining
it's
but
one of those
I think
things where, like, the Legend of Zelda games, they might not be puzzle games, they have, like, but the game involves solving a lot of puzzles, where Majora's Mask is still not a puzzle game, but it takes that to the extreme, where it's like the entire game, despite not being a puzzle game in and of itself, is in the scope of solving a big puzzle. Like, how are you going to get all of these things done in the span of time while it's the best of your ability?
I mean, you can't. The thing is that you can't do everything and save everyone in the 3-day span of time, but you can, like, it really just comes down to collecting all of the masks, because, you know, once you, like, give all of your masks away and complete the game, then, you know, that stops the moon from crashing into the earth. But regardless, Majora's Mask was, like, the first game that I thought of when this podcast topic was brought up, because I feel like it's a prime example of, like, integrating puzzles into a game that is otherwise not a puzzle game.
Yeah, no, that's a good example. And I remember you playing through it
for Spookfest.
Yeah, and it was a big hit with both of you guys as well as our viewers.
Spookfest 2022, baby.
You know, it should be a big hit with all of our viewers.
Tillamook?
That's right. Tillamook's Oregon strawberry ice cream. Sweet strawberry ice cream with ripe Oregon strawberry pieces.
Cool.
Now in pint size.
Right on.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, was there any other examples we wanted to talk about with puzzles, or this being a shorter podcast, did we just want to jump into catching up on what we've been up to the past couple weeks?
I think we covered the topic pretty well.
I think we did. It was a shorter topic, but you get the idea. Puzzles are great when they're handled in certain ways. Sometimes they don't have to be easy. Sometimes they don't have to be hard. But we covered a wide range of topics on that.
Chime in to the comments on the YouTube, or join our Discord and let us know what you think.
Yeah, we definitely did not cover every game imaginable that has elements of this that we could talk about, so add your own 2 cents. Let us know. Let's go around, though. Jack, what have you been up to these past couple weeks, besides being sick?
The sickness is very new, actually. I've been up to a lot in the past couple weeks. In fact, what I've been up to is probably what caused me to get sick, but
Most definitely.
Most definitely. So, let's see. Let me look at the calendar and just make sure I have the entire 2 weeks since. Okay, yeah. So let's see. The big thing that has been, I mean, it hasn't just been the past 2 weeks, but more so the past month plus. I have been closely following Pacers basketball. The Indiana Pacers, for the first time since I was 5 years old, are in the NBA Finals, and only the second time ever in the team's history. And I'm very excited for that. Like, even if they don't win the whole thing, I'm just happy that they got this far, because honestly, it's been forever since I've seen a team this good. And it's been really fun to watch. The games have been fucking exciting, and there's been a lot of, like, really fucking crazy plays over the course of the playoffs. So go Pacers. But let's see, last week on Tuesday the 27th, I went with some friends to go see Baroness. They were touring for they're just doing a tour where they just play their first 2 albums front to back, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. two of the best ones. It's called the Red and Blue Tour because that's literally the names of the albums. It's Red Album and Blue Record, and I just can't help but think of Pokemon with the tour name.
Yeah.
But no, they were sick. It's like that's literally all they played, just like red front to back and then blue front to back, and then that was it. And it's like, fuck yeah.
Nice.
That's all you need. Let's see. On Friday, the 30th, I went with my dad to go see Billy Strings in Grand Rapids, and that was fucking phenomenal. Like, one of the best live bands I've seen in recent memory. He is, like, one of the craziest guitar players I have ever seen live. And, like, I'm not normally into bluegrass, but, like, he's really fucking good at doing bluegrass. And then, the day after, the very next day, on Saturday and Sunday, I went with some friends to Tie Down in Detroit, the hardcore fest that I have been going to every year for the past 3 years now. And I saw a lot of great bands there. It was really fun. I was around a lot of sweaty people all weekend, a lot of smelly people all weekend, so I'm not surprised that I got sick after the weekend that I had. I mean, not only was I exhausted when I came back home, but it was... I also ended up getting sick, so that's fun. But that was... It was a really fun weekend overall. It was... Here, I'll post a picture in the spoilers after I'm done talking, but... Have not... Oh yeah, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, but I edited and uploaded the Mario Kart Marathon. So, once again, that's on YouTube, free to watch. It was originally going to be a Patreon exclusive, but it's there for everyone to watch. It's 6 hours long. I put a lot of effort into putting it together, so...
Happy June 21st.
Go check it out.
Even though it's not June 21st.
It is not June 21st yet.
But this winter was the worst we've ever seen.
It will be June 21st in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
All right.
That's about what I've been up to.
I have been up to a couple things. Right after... So the last podcast, I talked about how I was just about done with Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age. I finished it, and then a couple days later, Landon and I actually did a discussion that will be going on Patreon in a couple of months. Next month. 1 month. Yeah. So if you're sub to the Silver Stooge tier, you want to hear our elaborate thoughts on Dragon Quest XI's, that will be going up, and we'd love to hear if anybody listens to it, their thoughts on what we have to say. And then...
It'll be for the anniversary of Dragon Quest XI's release, original release in Japan.
Unintentional, but yes, it came out in July of 2016.
There's no way to know. And
so it was 2017. Yeah, that's right, because it came out after in 2018. I remember it came out like a year later on the elsewhere. But anyway, so yeah, we did that. And then I finished Dragon Ball Daima finally, because I had been watching the dub, and I took a break from it because I had caught up and I'd watched everything up to that point. So I went back and I watched all 6 of the episodes I hadn't seen yet. And I liked it. It was pretty good. I think that there was a couple episodes that went a little too slow, which caused a few episodes to have to condense a little too much into one episode. But that last part of the show was definitely worth it, because that last fight was really good.
Go watch Simon? Daima. Just go binge watch Daima right now.
I do need to watch Daima.
The dub with Stephanie brings back Kid Goku's old voice actress Stephanie Donnelly. She does a fantastic job. It's like she never left the role. It's incredible. Yeah, that was good. Did you have something to add real quick before?
No, it was unrelated. I was just gonna mention something else, but it's all good. You can keep going.
And then the last thing that I've been up to for the majority of the past couple weeks is I've been playing Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, because I got the complete edition with Hacker's Memory a little while back, but I was focusing on Dragon Quest. But now that I've beaten it, been playing through that. I'm already deep into the game. Like, I only have a few chapters left of the main story of Cyber Sleuth. I'll have to shelve Hacker's Memory until I have time for it, but I'm really enjoying it. I love the Digivolution system. It is kind of a pain that you have to keep de-Digivolving in order to get the stats you need to get to certain higher tiers of Digivolutions, but it's still a lot of fun. The characters are pretty fun. The story overall is pretty good, but I don't like its pacing. Sometimes it's a little, like, it makes you take a break to do something that's, like, not super important for the sake of, like, it being part of, like, your, like, cases that you do as a detective. And it's like, even, even some of the mandatory ones is what I mean mostly. Like, you can do side cases as well, so that's on you, but I do most of those, but like there's like a couple mandatory ones that are just kind of like dropped in right in between like two very big plot points. But other than that, like, it's still a really good time. I'm enjoying it, and I'm really looking forward to the upcoming Digimon story Time Stranger that, as of this podcast, is not out yet, but is out later this year. So yeah. And speaking of which, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. As the time that we were recording this, there was just a Sony State of Play earlier today. We are not talking about it because we talk about summer game announcements all in one podcast, and that was Sony's, so they can wait until we get to that.
I haven't even watched it yet.
And you haven't even watched it.
I haven't either.
Exactly.
The most important thing that got shown off wasn't even shown off at the State of Play. It was Garfield Kart 2, baby. Let's go. September 10th. Garfield Kart 2.
But yeah, so that's everything that I've been up to. Landon.
I have a box.
VGP. You gonna open the box?
Very gorilla penis. I killed Cloud with that one.
Killed him.
Violent
All right,
gorilla penis.
Violent gorilla penis.
That'd be a sick name for a metal band.
Oh man. Like a really fucking like low IQ like slam death band from fucking like Oklahoma.
Hell yeah.
Violent gorilla penis. I mean there's a band out there called Truck Stop Dick Pill. I think Violent Gorilla Penis is within the realm of possibility.
Exactly.
Look, I got trash in the mail.
Wow, look at that trash that you got.
Look at this shiny trash.
Forbidden West.
Wow.
And Sackboy: A Big Adventure.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm trying to throw these games.
But you don't want to knock anything over.
Huzzah.
There you go.
Here, I'll do this.
There we go.
Yay.
Good job.
Yay. Look, took out the trash. Anyway, now that bit's over with. What have I been doing? Well, excellent question. Thank you for asking. Puzzles in video games. What exactly is a puzzle? I finished up playing Trader, not now. You're the reason why we started late. I finished up playing Dragon Quest. Oh my god, Dragon Quest 11S Echoes of an Elusive Age for the Nintendo Switch family of entertainment systems.
Yeah, because you put it down after you had first played the main story, and then because I got into it, we're like, you know what? I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna finish the post game story.
Yeah, I'll do Act 3, and I didn't do technically all the post game. I did do the Tinkington, like the main stuff, and then I dropped after that because I don't have time to do all the boss fights. I feel like I talked about this on the podcast already. God, it's been that long already. I really haven't played much of fucking shit since then.
Did you play much of Tokyo Xanadu? Because I mean, you were popping that out on a bit.
I have gotten like halfway through chapter 3, and I finished chapter 2 prior to switching back over to Dragon Quest 11S. So no.
Tokyo Xanadu, the game that keeps getting interrupted.
There's two games. I have another game like that, where like I will like start playing it for a little bit and stop, and that's Octopath Traveler 2. Occasionally, like I go in and start playing a little bit of it, and then like I drop it, and it's like I like the game. I think both of these games are like they are fun when I'm playing them, but then there's just so much other. And honestly, like there's been a lot going on at work, and then I come here, and then I have 2 screaming demon spawns that run around the house.
2
By run
screaming
around, I mean they
baddies.
just sit there. They just sit there. They don't move yet, which is terrifying. It's even more terrifying.
They haven't even reached their final form.
Yeah.
You're
So there's that.
One of them will start crawling, and rather than be excited, you're gonna be like, "Oh no!"
Pretty much. We're like days away from them to start like really teething. Like they are at the starting of teething.
Oh boy.
So that's where we're at right now. I did play a little bit of the Gradius that came out on NSO for Game Boy. That was fun. The one day I played it. Mostly, I guess I'm just going to talk about how I spent a whole stream for Dragon Quest Heroes grinding so I could beat one story mission.
Hell yeah.
We did it though.
Hell yeah.
Last stream, the stream prior to that, I probably tried the level like 7 or more times, and I could not beat it. And then so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do side quests. I'm gonna try and clear it as much of the side quest log that I have. Did that, and then I was able to beat it. My first retry. I also like did some like getting some like accessories to like reduce to increase resistance to certain status effects, so that helped a lot to get that done. So yeah, Dragon Quest Heroes, The World Tree's Woe, and The Blight Below. Go watch that on twitch.com/GamingStooges.
Landon, you missed it.
You missed
Twitch.
when you missed it earlier. I like Clouds was saying like what we were streaming, and I was like, no, it's not The World Tree's Woe, it's The Wind Tree's Woe. And then I realized that I fucking forgot that it was in fact The World Tree's Woe.
Every time this man says the game's name, he says The Wind Tree's Woe.
I don't know why. It's just like I think of Dragon Quest. I picture like the big fucking tree from Dragon Quest 11 that looks like a wind tree.
But it's the World Tree.
It's the
World Tree. I know.
It's the World Tree's
man.
Woe and the Blight Below.
The World Tree's Woe and the Blight Below.
Yep.
But yeah. Anything else, Landon?
We took the girls out on a hike after taking the girls to see their great-grandmother who just turned 98 this past Sunday. So
Congrats to her.
It was a really short hike. It was 0.3 of a mile, but we did that. It's been a lot of like getting them to go to sleep, and then honestly, you know what it's been a lot of is been in the Discord we've been discussing top games again.
Yes.
And so like I redid my top 50. But I expanded it out to 144 games, and even now I'm like, there's like, I don't know, 15 games I could have added to this list.
Yeah,
so
actually,
who knows?
Earlier today I sat Allison down and we went through and sorted through her games, and we managed to come up with her top 30, so that was pretty cool.
And then we went back. I went back. I know Cloud has also been working on it.
Yeah.
To like some of our old like Game of the Year videos, and like I just like wrote out like what those were, and I'm like, wow.
So, yeah, some of these are interesting to say the least.
Some of this was like, oof.
Podcast on a retrospective of that sometime. One day.
We'll probably do a deeper dive, but shout out to Jack's number 7 for 2013.
Oh God,
Which one was that?
Pokemon X and Y.
Oh yeah.
Where he
X
was
and
like,
Y.
I like this region. Let's see if that holds up, folks.
We'll see.
I haven't played those games in forever, so we'll see.
You should try and pick it up and play for a little bit, just as a refresher at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is just about it. This has been a nice short one. It's always good to have a little short podcast episode here and there with the Gaming Stooges talks. But we are going to roll the outro. I'm going to be going to go get my Nintendo Switch 2 right after this. So you guys have a good one. We'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast. If you enjoyed us, consider subscribing to our podcast RSS feed, or follow us on youtube.com/GamingStooges and twitch.tv/GamingStooges for more gaming content. If you'd like to chat with us, join our Discord. The link can be found in the episode description. We also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Your continued support means a lot to us. Not already one? Please take a look at what we have to offer anyone who becomes a patron at patreon.com/GamingStooges. See you next time!